Can Coventry City do a Nottingham Forest? Hello guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to yet another video. Do make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Do subscribe as well. We'll go for 100 likes on this video. And what is to do a Nottingham Forest? I might hear you ask behind those screens. Well, Nottingham Forest were bottom after 7 or 8 games in the Championship last year, and they went on to finish 4th and won the playoffs. What a story. Nottingham Forest really were fantastic in the Championship last year. Well, Coventry City were bottom after 7 or 8 games, and now after 16 games, we've won 5. The same as Nottingham Forest after 16 games. Are we following their trajectory from last season? I'd like to hope so. Nottingham Forest set a very high bar by doing what they did last year. Let's hope Coventry City can do the same thing. Let's get into this video. Let's start by going back to the early parts of last season when Nottingham Forest were actually bottom of the Championship table after just 7 games. Now, bear in mind, this table has added on Derby's points deduction, which didn't actually come into play until halfway into last season. So Forest were actually the bottom team after 7 games. 1 point picked up. There's obviously different circumstances as to why Coventry and Forest were bottom after this amount of games. Forest, for me, it was the manager, and that came true. They changed the manager and they went woof up the table. But yeah, at no point did I ever think Forest were actually going to go down. They are a big club with a big fan base, good squad, and Chris Hughton was just playing negative football, and that obviously had an effect. They were bottom after 7 games. Well, Coventry City were also bottom after 7 games this season. Yes, you can see we had a couple of games in hand at this point, and we still do when we look at the table at where we are now. But once again, similar thing to Forest, no wins after 7 games. Similar to Forest, 12 points off 6th place at this point, so really worrying. Once again, I never thought Coventry City would go down. Even when things were this bad this early on in the season, I did remember Coventry City had home games to catch up on, and we have a good squad, a good fan base, and everything that points towards us not finishing in the bottom 3. Well, let's jump forward to this far into last season when Forest had now played 16 games. They'd picked up 5 wins now. So it goes to show in the 9 games afterwards, they won 5 of them. That shot them up to 17th and 6 points off the playoffs. And obviously after that, they continued to climb. The points per game was almost 2 points per game they picked up through the last 2/3 of that season. They were incredible, and obviously we know the rest as history. Forest shot up into 4th and won the playoffs. I always think as well, a team that finishes in the playoffs with momentum, having come all the way from the bottom end of the table, has the best chance. As I say, that momentum can take them forwards. Well, let's have a look at Coventry now after 16 games. Very similar. 5 wins, and we're not 17th where Forest were after 16 games, but bear in mind we've still got a couple games in hand, so realistically we could probably be 17th if not higher, having played our extra 2 games in hand on most teams, even 3 games in hand on Preston up there. Yes, I know points on the board are more important than games in hand, but if you look at 2-3 games in hand with Coventry's form now, you'd think Coventry should at least be able to pick up 1 win or maybe 2. And like I say, Coventry 8 points off the playoffs, but with games in hand on the likes of Swansea. So very interesting parallels there. Obviously, Forest went on to ride it out through the season and they did finish in 4th. But even at this point, not many people predicted them to go all the way and get promoted. Honestly, you can see the likes of Bournemouth and Fulham, who did get promoted with them, were already, look at that, about 16, 18 points ahead of them, a third of the way into the season. So can Coventry actually do it is the question. Well, there's a couple of differences. Like I say, they changed the manager and Cooper and that team just click. Forest went shooting up. As for Coventry, our manager is one that clicks with our club. Obviously, we don't know for sure if we're actually going to be able to play out all of the home games at the CBS. If we can, that crowd can make the difference. And like I say, 5 wins in the last 9 for Coventry is very, very good. If you do that over the stretch of the season, that will get you closer to that top 6. So the reason I made this video is it's not impossible. Yes, Forest are that one team in, I wouldn't say a million, but that one team every 10 seasons that goes on to do something like that. And that is what could give Coventry City some hope. Like I say, I predicted us to finish 8th this season. Every season under Mark Robins for the last 5-6 years, we have finished higher in the table than the prior season. So if you set that benchmark and say we should finish higher than 12th, that's, you know, very close to the playoffs, if not in the playoffs. Yes, the Championship is very diverse and things could flip very easily. Coventry could fall back into the bottom 3 at any moment soon. But with the World Cup coming, meaning we can get some key players back and things looking better, and with that positive upward trajectory, I have a feeling Coventry City are going to continue to march up the table. I'll be boring and not say specifically where I think we'll finish at this moment in time, but I actually do think we'll get into that top half in the second half of the season. So now, looking forwards for Coventry City, what do we want to be churning out to follow in Nottingham Forest's footsteps? Well, like I say, some people might think it's unrealistic, but for those of you fans that think Coventry could do it, Nottingham Forest's next 3 games saw them go up to 24 points. Like I say, Coventry will have played 19 games by the time the World Cup rolls around. So Forest then up to 24 points, 7 off the playoffs. That means Coventry would now need 4 points from our next 3 games to follow in Nottingham Forest's footsteps. Let's jump forwards again. Nottingham Forest now, after 30 games, were up to 46 points. That saw them 2 points off the playoffs. Obviously, we can't be sure how many points you need specifically to get into the playoffs this year. It might be different to last year, but you can see there Forest really trending upwards. 13 wins, now more wins than defeats. The goal difference looking really good there as well, and just above 1.5 points per game. Can Coventry continue to follow on that trajectory that Nottingham Forest went on last season? Jumping forward to another 8 games, you can now see Nottingham Forest jumped into 4th place, but via goal difference. Look how tight that was. Nottingham Forest goal difference proving very important there. But look at that. Obviously, it's going to be very tricky for Coventry to try and follow in Forest's footsteps like that. But you can see there how well they've been playing, the results they've been pulling in, and where it's taken them to. So obviously, that is a long way down the line for Coventry City. We're talking late March, early April at this point. But if Coventry City could maybe be on 1.6 points per game at this point, would certainly still be in that top 8. And then there you are at the end of the season. Forest managed to finish on 80 points. They even came close to competing for the top 2. Now, obviously, Coventry City fans, like I say, a lot of us will not be expecting to follow Forest's trajectory even closely. But even if we were to get, I don't know, this is really pushing it, but towards 70 points, then you do give yourself a massive chance of getting in that top 6. Like I say, it's very, very unlikely, given that Forest are the first team to have done that in a long time, to be bottom after 7-8 games and shoot their way into 4th place. But Coventry City, after the early signs of this season, are possibly following that early trajectory that Nottingham Forest went on. How far do you see Coventry City climbing up the table? Do you see Coventry City falling back down into that bottom 3? I certainly think we're going to climb the table, but by how much? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. If you've enjoyed this video, do make sure to drop it a like. Do make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.